Hey guys, Eric here again. We're still Monday, February 2nd, and we're taking a look here at Apple shares to kind of see what's going on here. The shares have had a pretty good rally today. We're now looking at about a 4.25% or 4.25% to the upside move. We have pretty good volume here. It looks like coming into the final hour of trading, we have about 53 minutes left here to go. But right now our volume is above, at least above our 90-day average. And it is kind of trending upwards here towards the final hours, and we'll kind of see that here in a minute when we look at the closer term charts. This is one of those that it does have a high correlation to the S&P 500, so they call that beta, so that's kind of a relativity to the index. So if the market moves 100 points or 1%, then Apple would be a 1% move to if the beta were 1.0. So it's kind of a ratio there that you kind of are looking at. That part aside, though, just note that it does have a high correlation to the S&P. So if the S&P ends up falling, the most likely outcome for Apple is that it too falls along with the broader markets. Kind of the same setup as some of these other ones. We came down, we tested this 200-day moving average here. We had the crossover that gave us the sell signal. We took out the lows, and now we have set a new low here around 150, which is fractionally higher than this low. So that's an encouraging sign there. That we have not dipped down below this level yet, but I do think that it is entirely outside of the realm of possibility that we do end up falling down below there in the next couple of weeks ahead and stuff. So just for a shorter term trade, I kind of want to give you a setup because I think this one's going to probably play out pretty favorably, and we'll kind of just go down to an hourly here to take a look at it. And this is going to be one of those that you need to kind of watch closely for it to work for you. So right now we have the crossover, so we're looking for a previous swing high to be taken out. That level at the current time is this swing high right here. So we're looking for that level to be taken out to some degree. So I'd like to kind of see it up in a couple dollars higher, at least a percent or two higher up in this area sometime. Once that happens, then we would be looking for playing a pullback or looking for a pullback to enter the trade, so we can kind of find out where that may be at or what that level may look like. So let's just kind of let's assume that right now's high is the high of the day or the high that it sets. So we will be looking for a pullback now to the 618 retracement, which is kind of a good level to kind of keep an eye on. So that would be pulling back to 155. As you see, this level is actually significant. It has played its support over here. So that's kind of an encouraging thing. So like I say, I think that this one's going to end up dipping down here to this 155 area, give or take a few bucks. And then it can be setting the stage for a move higher. If you're kind of wondering where we may be moving to higher from there, we could kind of take a look at some of the extensions, but I think you can kind of get a bigger picture view of the target just by looking at the daily chart. The 50-day is now going to act as a resistance point, and if you kind of look at some of these other levels here, this has kind of been a base of support here. This was a level from which Apple broke out. So right through here, this is going to kind of be the resistance level we're looking at. And then, of course, now we have the 50-day directly on top of that at $171. So if you're playing to the upside, then that's kind of where you want to start looking about exiting this trade here and stuff. So I think that at the same time, you're going to be looking for this little dip to come back down to, say, 155, which is right in here. And then we can kind of play for that upside. So that gives you about a $10 a share or $13 a share upside potential. So it is a fairly expensive stock on a per share basis at $163, but it's kind of a percentage thing. So if you're looking at a move that will end up being, well, let me get my tools here for you. So if we bought at 155 and it goes to 163, that's a $13 move, and so we'll end up seeing, whoops. Oh, by the way, guys, I did get that new keyboard for you, and so that's I'm still kind of getting used to that, but we're looking at an 8.5% gain there just by kind of buying that little dip and buying, expecting a rally back up to the 50-day moving average. Like I say, though, if the broader markets are in trouble, and I kind of feel like they are for the next couple of weeks and maybe months ahead, I think we kind of come up here before we end up dipping back down. Whether or not this dip takes us below this level right here, whether or not we take that out. If that's the case, we'll be looking for this 144, 142 from over here. So that's kind of where we'd be looking again to maybe consider buying it. Now, if it just falls through, that's really a troublesome sign, especially for a company as large and as much cash as they make at Apple, I would be a little bit nervous if all that were to fall apart. So just for a little short-term trade, I think you can kind of look at this for playing to the upside. If you'd rather be in the bias, I think that the market's giving us right now, I think you look at shorting this or playing against it as we near that level around 168, as we kind of get in this zone right here from 168 up to about 171. I think this is where you start looking to short this name to play it for the downside. But if you have a different view of it and you think we're going higher here, you're looking for a little dip, and then you're going to play for the upside to that 170. And that's kind of one of those things too. I'll just say real quickly, you can kind of have multiple views depending on how you see things and what you think's going on, bigger picture. I do think though that the bias right now is going to be for continued follow through, at least until we get to that 50-day before we end up failing and coming back down to test these lows. So if that's the case, we'll take another look at this in the next couple of days or so to kind of see if this is a good zone to buy against. Then expecting a move back to the higher prices, but at the same time, like I say, if we're kind of struggling broadly speaking, then Apple's going to struggle right along with us, and that will not be a good holding to have. To go riding it back down to $145 or $140 a share. So just a little setup for the day, and I'll give you another little update here in a little bit. All right, take care.